So the first few clients we had in AJ, in Ashdown Jones, our estate agency, they were, and some still are, quite passionate about us because they were first in, weren't they? They were the risk takers. Yeah. And then they still talk about us and big us up. But as you and I have moved out of it, you lose that. So how do we, and how do the listeners make sure that throughout the growth, you keep that ownership of, oh, I found them, it's my agency. I was going to do a training this morning in team meeting about the AJ Way, which is our list of principles, which I only read for the first time yesterday, actually, and thought, these are really weak. Mm-hmm. They're really weak. Because I want that running through. How do we make the person on the phone that rings up, whether it's the first time or the 100th time, feel like they're part of it, and we're their agent, buyer, seller, service provider, whoever it is. How do you do that?
It's hard, isn't it? Because success typically means coming away from it. They usually are mutually exclusive. So, for example, Apple. When Apple first came out with the iPod and the phone and the iPad and, the MacBook and all those kind of things, there were raving fans. And those raving fans were very proud to tell people that they were an early raving fan. Do you remember a group called Everything But the Girl? Have you heard of them?
No, but you have. I'm trying to work out if I've heard.
It's the Todd Terry
heard of the band,
Miss You that you might have heard of.
Or whether I'm getting mixed up with your saying Everything But
the Girl, yeah.
No,
maybe.
Everything But the Knickers, is it, or something like that?
What are you talking about?
There's a saying you have. Is not everything but a furry. Am I getting mixed up? Something about a furry coat.
That was all.
Furry coat, no knickers. Is that
all
it?
Fur, no, yeah. Fur coat, no knickers. That's what my mum used to say.
Yeah, strange saying, but
wait, it's describing.
So that's not a band, and it's not Everything But the Girl. I'm with you.
No, it should be a Fur coat, no knickers.
It's a great band name.
It is. No, it was about people who pretend they've got money and they haven't. Fur coat, no knickers. Anyway, Everything But the Girl came to prominence around the same time as the Style Council, which you also probably don't remember, or even
the Style Council.
Oh God, I'm feeling so old. Anybody who's listening to this podcast that's anything approaching my age is literally banging their head against the wall.
This morning they were talking in the meeting. They were talking about this model called Naomi Campbell.
You've never heard of Naomi Campbell?
I don't think so.
You forget, don't you? It's such a generational gap. Anyway, going back to Style Council and Everything But the Girl. There used to be a magazine called Smash Hits.
I don't remember that.
Do you?
Yeah, Smash Hits.
So it came out weekly, and it was about all the latest discography, all the songs, the bands, who was bringing out what. And in there, it said there was a little review of Everything But the Girl's first album, and it said, and must have been something like, I don't know, I want to say like 1985 or 1984, and this review said, if you like the Style Council, you'll love Everything But the Girl. So I went into our local Woolworths to buy the latest Style Council album, and they didn't have it in stock. But they did have the Everything But the Girl one in stock. So I remember this review I'd seen in Smash Hits, and I bought it. And I took it home, and I played it to death. You could actually wear out vinyl, and I pretty much nearly did.
I would quite like a vinyl machine.
Vinyl
are they called machines? What they call a vinyl player?
Record player.
A record player, that's it.
Oh my God, I feel older by the minute.
You look it as well.
A vinyl machine. Oh my God.
A record player.
This is a nostalgic podcast.
That does sound more.
Why do you think we call them 45s? Have you heard of that?
Nope.
So
it's not a song. Something about on the 45.
I don't know. That sounds like a bus.
Radio killed the video star.
Oh yeah. So if it's 45s, yes.
On the 45.
Probably about 45s.
Yeah, all right, Grandma.
So 45s are singles.
Right.
And then the bigger thing is an album, because you used to have to play them on different speeds. You used to play a 33 was an album, 33 RPM, and 45 RPM was a single. So your record player would have two speeds.
Right.
You'd
Your
switch
record player
between
had
them.
two speeds? What if you could choose the speed of the song?
Yes, you can listen to a 45 really slowly, or you can listen to a 33 really fast.
Right, okay. So, yeah, right. Like you can listen to this podcast on 2 times and 1 time.
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah.
It doesn't actually get more interest in this podcast no matter how fast you listen to it.
Anyway, go back to my story. So I buy this Everything But the Girl album, I wear it out. And in those days, you used to get the lyrics either for all the songs in smash hits if it was in the charts, if it's in the top 40. But you'd also get the lyrics on some albums. But Everything But the Girls album did not have the lyrics in it. I know they didn't have very much budget in those days. So I think it was called Eden, the first album. So I wrote to Everything But the Girl, care of their record label, and in my 15, 16-year-old handwriting, and asked them for the lyrics of a certain song. And Tracy Thorn, who is now, by the way, an epic, like, amazing singer, and I was going to say she's known far and wide, but not by you, clearly.
Not on this sofa.
So she wrote back to me, handwritten lyrics of the song I wanted on the album. So I feel that I should always support Everything But the Girl because of that. And they must have got, I don't know, 10, 12 albums now. But I still feel that they're mine.
So the first thing I think is something we don't do anywhere near well enough, and we try and train it in different ways, and it's recognition of when somebody reaches out to us. So let's say one of our early super fans calls the office now. The team's changed so much, they would get zero recognition of who they are and how they supported us, and that would do serious damage to their egos and their ownership of us, wouldn't it? So we should have a lot better phone systems in place and tagging systems in the CRM to say this person's calling, react in a certain way, and make sure they get to access to us if requested.
And they can do that because I know if I phone Foxtons, not that I've had an opportunity to do for many years, but on my phone number, the first thing they say to me is, "Oh, hi, Sam."
Yeah,
which is clever, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you can definitely do it. I've seen many companies do it, and it needs to be used in the right way. But it's important to those people that they get special access or they get something like my brother, as an example. Obviously, he's a super fan because he has to be, but he works at a car sales place, and every day he'll tell me about one of our clients who's been in or a lead that we have. So he must just talk about me all the time. But if I said to him, "No, give them Tom's number," he'd stop doing it because he loses the
credibility, kudos.
Yeah, and
it's special access
and ego
status,
boost for himself to be able to go, look here. So he sends me all sorts of crap. That he rang me this morning and said, "Oh, I've given you this guy's number. I said if he calls you or calls the team and mentions he comes through me, then you go out directly." I was like, "Great," but if I told him I wouldn't go out, he'd stop doing it. So they need to have these people. They need to have a certain level of access, and they'll take you a long way. And the second point of this is the perception that you haven't changed, that your business hasn't changed, that you are still involved, and it is just a perception, because no matter what the reality is, you could be there every day working your socks off. If the perception is that you've changed, the business has changed, you will start to lose those super fans. So some simple things like weekly or monthly video content that takes 5 minutes that can be repurposed. But if your face is out there, the perception is you're still involved and you're still heading it, and the people that are recommending you and telling you to speak to Sam or speak to Phil for a certain reason still feel like they're recommending something good.
So we were recommended to somewhere that we've just been to yesterday, beautiful home, 7 million, by somebody who we know well, but who's actually never used us personally.
No.
And she recommended that, in fact, she asked if she could pass on my phone number. And the guy said, when he phoned me, he said, "Oh, this person has recommended you." And I said, "That's lovely." And he said, "Also, I've been getting your letters for years." And we know he's had, quarterly letters for 5 years. So
yeah, and that was the second point, the direct mail letters. It's you don't have to write them because you use Cosmo, obviously. all you got to do is put your name on it, and the perception is again that you are you're writing it and you're speaking to people, and it feels a closer environment. A great example, we spoke about it on a podcast a few months ago. The roofing company, what's it called? So they send you this direct mail piece, and it's something like Rob's Roofs.
Oh, yeah.
Is it roofs or is it gutters?
I think it's Ben's Gutters.
Ben's Gutters, yeah. And everybody gets one. I thought it was like a super local company that was only working in like my street. And then we mentioned it at Mastermind, and Michael, I think from Newcastle, was like, "Yeah, I get those." And so the whole country gets Ben's Gutters.
And it was actually that was like a little handwritten, crossed out bit, and it looked really good.
But the perception they created was that was still a small company, and therefore you want to use them and support them.
You want to use them because they're small and local, so you feel like you've got greater ownership over the results, and also you probably think they're going to be cheaper. Whereas as soon as you find out it's a national corporate and this is a marketing ploy, you would just not use them.
Yeah.